Hey everyone, my name is Kiba, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to create and deploy a website onto the Handshake network. Handshake is a domain name system that basically replaces ICANN, which is a centralized entity that controls the entire internet. So .com, .org, .io are all controlled by this one company called ICANN, and Handshake basically decentralizes that and allows anyone to own their own top-level domain and have control basically through this blockchain technology. And so I'm going to be showing you how to deploy a website about yourself onto a domain that's controlled and owned by you, which is pretty cool. So the first thing you'll need to do is to download Gatsby, which is a static site generator. And the reason we're using Gatsby is because I'm working on a way to deploy these sites onto IPFS and then to point a Handshake domain directly to an IPFS hash, which you currently can't do without some kind of gateway like Cloudflare. And I'm working on a way to do it just the DNS system, hopefully. Don't think it's possible. But if I can figure that out, then knowing how to use these static site generators and deploying to IPFS will make your website 10 times more awesome. So we'll be using Gatsby along with Github Pages. So Github Pages will be hosting our websites now instead of IPFS. And you're going to be using these kind of like bare domains. So you won't be using the path with the repo name. You'll be using just whatever your GitHub username is, .github.io. And I'll be going to this stuff a little bit further. But first you just need to download Gatsby CLI. Run global add Gatsby CLI. And I should already have it. And then the next thing you're going to type in is Gatsby new, and then whatever your I guess domain is, or whatever your GitHub username is. So Gatsby new, and I'm going to be Kiba_Gato, and that's what my website, that's what my domain is. Cool. So now you can cd into my website and open that up. So if you've never seen Gatsby before, basically you just have your pages and your components. It's all React. It also uses GraphQL to kind of like query data and does all this fancy stuff. We don't really care. All we need to know is that it's generating static sites through server-side rendered React, and then it's deploying our HTML files to GitHub Pages. So I'm just going to do a little quick change of text here. Hi, I'm Kiba_Gato, human wandering the metaverse, let's say. And connect with me at a cool. Okay, and the great thing about Handshake is because you own your own TLDs, you can do really cool things like Twitter for Kiba_Gato and things like that. So that's what I've also set up. You can do that too if you wanted to. Whatever. I don't really care about formatting because this is just like not a real project. So that's our website, and that's it. We're basically ready to go. All we have to do is a couple of things. We just have to add GitHub Pages as a dev dependency, and while that's downloading, we'll also have to add a file called CNAME. This is your normal CNAME DNS record, but what this is doing is basically telling GitHub and kind of like whitelisting this domain for being used as your GitHub Pages custom domain. So basically, like your GitHub Pages will automatically deploy to a URL like this, kiba_gato.github.io. And what the CNAME record allows you to do is to basically make that point to another domain. So I'm going to say Kiba_Gato. So I'm going to point mine to me.kiba_gato. And GitHub Pages automatically supports Handshake domain records, so you don't have to, or the Handshake network, it just points to a domain. So as long as your computer can resolve Handshake domains, then this will work fine. You don't have to do any kind of special configuration or anything like that. Cool. So we have this, and then we just have to add the repo that you want to be sending this to. So just copy whatever repo you are and do git remote add origin repo, and then there's this one little, no, not that one, command that we're going to use to deploy. So I'll explain this really quickly. Basically what this command does is, no, I don't. Is saying build our Gatsby website, which takes all of this source code, like the pages or images or components, everything like that, and it just compiles it down into raw HTML files. So there's no, it's server-side rendered React, so it's not kind of constructing all the stuff on the front end. It's creating all the files that we know we'll have. These are our pages, and it's basically like formatting them into HTML so they can just serve them automatically. They don't have to run React, they don't have to run JavaScript. It's all HTML. And so that's what Gatsby build does. And then this GitHub Pages deploys it to your GitHub repo as a GitHub Pages. And you have to add -master, which is telling it to be in the master branch, which you need to do in order to make your repo deploy to this raw domain, is basically just make sure that's on the master branch. And then that way it won't be under some kind of like path prefix. It won't be kibugato.github.io/whatever. It will just be kibugato.github.io. And that's important because that's how you allow your CNAME record to resolve your website through Handshake. So that's an important detail. And one additional line they should have is copy your CNAME file to the public directory. And that basically ensures that the CNAME record will be with all the code that is actually getting pushed to your GitHub Pages. So all of your source code won't be going into your repository, at least not on the master branch. You can commit it to a different branch. The master branch will only be your final compiled code, which will be your like static HTML. And so this is just putting your CNAME record in with that public, with all the other files that will be on your master branch, so GitHub can use it. And that's really it. I'm pretty sure this should work. So we're just going to run yarn deploy. It's running all those files. So the first thing we're going to do to deploy to GitHub Pages is install the GitHub Pages package locally. So we're going to do yarn add GitHub Pages. Okay, so as its developer dev dependency, and then what we're going to do is we're going to add a script. There we go. So we're going to call it deploy, and I think it's something like GitHub Pages. There we go. Yeah. So first we're going to build our Gatsby project, which basically compiles all of our so first what we're going to do is basically run Gatsby build, which compiles all of our web pages into static files, and so it generates all of our images, our components, and basically constructs like a dependency graph and static websites, just statically generated HTML. And then we're going to push all of that code, all the final process code, to the master branch of our GitHub page, which is the repo that we're going to be associating this to, which would be, for me, it's kibugato.github.io is the name of the repository. And you need to have that format of the repo name so that you can have the bare TLD. And that'll make sense when I go into the repo and you see how I set up the GitHub pages. So let's see how this works. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm missing something, but git commit initial commit and then we can do yarn. I actually didn't want to commit it directly. Yarn run on. Save the file. Okay, there's just that issue. So what we're going to do is add GitHub Pages as a dev dependency to our site, and that'll basically allow us to push our web page and then use it as a GitHub Pages. Pretty obvious. And then the second thing that we're going to do is add a deploy script, and this is coming from the Gatsby documentation that I was just pointing to. I'll add a link to it in the video. And yeah, so basically what this does is it builds our Gatsby site, which just compiles all of our HTML, like our different pages, all of our images, and processes them, and then packages them together into static sites. So yeah, like server-side rendered React, if you've heard of that, that's basically what we're using. And then it's going to push it and deploy it to our GitHub repo. And again, you have to make sure that your GitHub repo has the name of the domain that you're going to be using. And now all we have to do is go over to our settings. Options, let's see, let's find pages, GitHub Pages. Okay, me.kivagot.io. And the last piece that you'll have to do is go to your domain manager for Handshake. So I'm using Namebase, but you can also use Bob Wallet or some other, whatever option is available to you. And I've set up my name server to point to their name server, which is resolving Handshake domains. That's an important detail, that you're using a name server that resolves Handshake domains. You can't just use Cloudflare. And then I've added this CNAME record, which is pointing to me, the me subdomain, and is pointing to kiva.to.github.io. So this me.kiva_gato is the same thing that I put in the CNAME record, right? And then I just set it up on my DNS provider. So after that, everything should be good. And so now we have the website up. It's me.kiva.to.com, and also it links to my Twitter. That link is actually wrong. I misspelled my domain. But yeah, so that's how easy it is. You will have to set up like NextDNS or HSD or some kind of Handshake domain resolver. But those are pretty simple. Here you can nextdns.io, or you can do github.com, Handshake, not that actually. I want HSD. No, actually, don't want HSD. That's the node. And you want HNSD. So yeah, you can either use NextDNS, which is a DNS provider, where you basically just download an app and then tell it that you want to use Handshake domains. Very simple, takes like 5 seconds to set up. This is what I use actually, because at the time this wasn't up and working, but this is like the way to run the Handshake node resolver on your computer itself, which is how Handshake is kind of designed to be used. And then you just have to do like some minor configuration. It will take a little bit longer, but I'd say it's definitely worth it, because then you can do way more cool stuff, and it's like natively on your computer. You don't have to use this other thing, and yeah, just overall way better. But that's how easy it is to get set up with a Handshake domain on at least GitHub Pages. Obviously, there's like some limitations, but you can also point it directly to a server. So I just didn't want to host this site on a server, but you can just as easily use an A record or a CNAME to a domain that's hosting a website on a server versus using something that's like a static site hosted on some third-party service like I just did. But this was just super easy. Only took 5 or 10 minutes to get set up. And now I have a super cool domain, me.kivagot. So there you have it. Feel free to reach out I'll drop a link to the neighbor Discord, which is where a lot of the Handshake people hang out, and there's also a Telegram chat, which I'll link to. So if you have any questions or anything, just come talk to us.